Hey there, I'm John and welcome to the Engineers Movement, where today we're turning this lot into a god arc.
So these are my multiple different designs. This is the one I'm going for. The others are the other way around because I drew the first one upside down. But this is the main design. It's heavily inspired by stuff from the anime. I think it's pretty cool. It's got all the different detail stuff. I like it. So this is the line that will show me what I need to cut to make the join in the blade. And once that's drawn on there and you can make sure you can see it, I'm just going to cut it out with a wood saw.
You know, I really would have loved to have used there the bandsaw, but the bastard's broken as it hates me.
Then I'm just going to do a test fit of the two pieces, or two main pieces, sorry, and see if they fit together. Now I'm just going to draw on the front profile of the blade, just ready for cutting out. Then I'm going to cut it out again with a wood saw. Then I'm just going to take the plane over it just to smooth all the surfaces out so they'll stick together.
So if you're wondering why I'm using an axe, that's because I want to get around to using new tools and new techniques. So I'm going to use an axe.
Again, I'm just going to transfer some of the design over onto some wood. And then cut it out. And if you're wondering why I'm using an axe at this point, basically I'm drifting too far from the line, so I need to be able to put the saw back on track. And again, I'm going to plane the surface flat so there are no bumps or anything like that and it'll stick properly. Now this piece of wood is actually a bit too wide, and if I had a table saw I'd rip it down using that, or I'd just use the bandsaw like I would normally, but since the bandsaw's broken, I'm not going to cut it out with a saw, I'm just going to use an axe. 1,000 times I must stress, if you're going to be working with something that's going to kick up an awful lot of dust, please wear a mask, especially if you're stripping paint from any of the boards that you're going to be using. So I know from experience that kicks up an awful lot of paint dust and it is not nice, so please be careful. That's my only PSA. Now the reason why I'm taking an axe to this board is it's actually too wide and I can't use that bit that I've just cut off. It's too thin as well. So I'm just measuring about halfway down the board. Now I'm going to measure about an inch outside of that, and that's going to give me my perfectly cut in half diagonal board. Then you guessed it, I'm going to cut it out. And yes, you guessed it, I'm using a wood saw again.
Machine.
Now it's at this point I think you can tell roughly the pattern that this is going to take. I'm going to draw out a piece, cut it out, maybe plane it, maybe sand it, and it's going to go on a pile. That's going to be it for the next couple of days or so. And I'm hoping that today, whilst editing the first part of this, don't worry, this isn't going to be a two-parter, but whilst editing the first part of this, I'm going to get on with some shaping, and then I'll start gluing it all together, and I'm going to record that, and you can see it, but just to save your sanity and my editing sanity, I'm going to do a massive time-lapse of me cutting out, drawing, cutting out, and smoothing down everything, because I can't afford to edit it individually, that'll make this thing way too long.
This one looks absolutely kick-ass. This is almost everything I was hoping for so far. So I need to send this bit out and build up this bit, but hey, we're making good progress. Now at this point there's one more piece to cut out, which I didn't realise, but that's going to be on the agenda for today. Is it one more piece? I think it's only one more piece. It's like one or two more pieces, but there's like a couple of pieces left to cut out, but I'm not going to record them because I can't be asked, and I'm going to do some shaping and blah blah blah. You get the deal. Now to some interesting stuff. So I started off on the lathe on quite a high speed. I should have been on a lower speed for roughing, but I used some very simple tools on quite a high speed to just take off all the bark and rough in some of the shape. So this is actually on a much lower speed with a much more aggressive tool, so I'm mostly done with the roughing, but this is just getting a bit more of it done. At this point what I'll do is I'm just trying to make the lowered section between two bits to handle, the bit that in the anime moves around, so I'm just taking the same angle tool and just gouging that out. At this point I've cranked the speed back up, I'm doing an awful lot more finer detail on this, I'm just getting it all a bit more smoother, and if you're wondering why I'm wearing a glove on my right hand, it's because when I was trying to loosen up one of the bits of the lathe to move it so that everything was all tight, I slipped and I bashed my finger. And if you're wondering why this facilitates the need of a glove, that's simply because I don't want to get any sawdust in it. That's it really. Now that everything's all smoothed out, I'm just going to take some sandpaper, this is some rough grit, and I'm just going to go with this, and I'm going to go through the grits, to a slightly finer one, then to a very fine one, then to an old piece that is very, very fine.